Good morning. In this lecture, I want to uh, describe about solar photovoltaic systems. Okay. So, what is solar photovoltaic cell? That thing we should understand before going to the brief of solar photovoltaic system. Okay. So here, when I am talking about photovoltaic, okay. So this photovoltaic is derived from two words, that is photo meaning light and voltaic meaning voltage. Okay. So that means we are talking about, when I am talking about photovoltaic, that means we are talking about light is producing as voltage, means from the light we are getting voltage. Okay. From the photons of the light we are getting voltage. Okay. Here when I am talking about photovoltaic system, okay, what is the function of photovoltaic system actually? Photovoltaic system or PV system is converting light energy directly into electricity, and this system is commonly known as solar cells. Means these photovoltaic systems are normally known as solar cells. The simplest system power the small calculators we use every day. Obviously, more complicated systems are under research to provide a large portion of the electricity in near future, when I am talking about the solar photovoltaic systems. Okay. Now I want to talk about some history on solar photovoltaic system. Okay, here I can talk about a history, means from 1839 we can talk about. At 1839 photovoltaic effect discovered by Becquerel. Okay, then at 1870s Hertz develops solid selenium PV cell. Okay, then at the year of 1905 photoelectric effect explained by A. Einstein. Okay, A. Einstein means Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein tells about the photoelectric effect. Okay, and he had explained about the photoelectric effect. What is photoelectric effect? Those things is explained by Albert Einstein at the year 1905. Then at the year of 1954, Bell Laboratories. I think Bell Laboratory, everyone knows Bell Laboratory. Okay, when someone is a science student or technical person and normally coming from physics or electrical, I think they should know what is Bell Laboratory and what is the function of Bell Laboratory. And I think everyone is aware of Bell Laboratory when someone is in this course. Okay, so in 1954, Bell Laboratories developed the first crystalline silicon cell. Okay, this first crystalline silicon cell was developed by Bell Laboratory at 1954. So when I am talking about solar cells are normally made from semiconductors, and the most important being here is silicon. Okay, semiconductors have special electronic properties. Okay, I think when we are talking about the conductor, when I have covered our material paper in our previous semester. Okay, at that time you have briefly, and I think you have learned briefly on what is conductor, what is semiconductor, and what is insulator, what is magnetic devices. Means everything I think you have learned. What are the nature of magnetic materials, what are the nature of conducting materials, what are the nature of semiconducting materials, what are the nature of insulating materials. Everything we have covered in our electrical and electronics material. Okay, so I think you have some basic knowledge about semiconducting materials. So when I am talking about silicon, obviously here I am talking about the semiconducting material. And when I am talking about solar cell here, obviously here the silicon is the main important material which is used in solar cells. So semiconductor have special electronic properties. Okay, which allows them to be insulating or conducting depending on their composition. Okay, there are different types of solar cells such as cadmium telluride, that is CDT, made from cadmium and tellurium, or another one is another solar cell type material is what, copper indium diselenide, that is our copper indium diselenide, that is CuInAce2. CuInAce2 means what, copper indium diselenide. Then our next solar cell material is that is gallium arsenide, that is GaAs. So these are the different type of solar cells which are actually developed by our solar cell technology. Okay, so now I want to discuss about the physics of solar cell. Okay, now I want to talk about our physics of solar cell here. So when I am coming to the physics of solar cell, okay, here I can tell or since solar cells are made of semiconducting materials, okay, that means whenever we are talking about solar cells, from which material we are making solar cells? We are making from semiconducting materials. So since solar cells are made of semiconducting materials, so basis of semiconductor technology is provided here, or we have to explain here to understand the operation of PV cell, because the solar cell is made of semiconducting material. So when we should understand, or when we are trying to understand the PV cell or characteristic of PV cell, then definitely we should understand the basics of semiconductor technology. Okay, and then if you are understanding the basic technology of semiconducting materials, then obviously you can understand the operation of PV cells. Okay, now in my first point I want to discuss about semiconductor fundamentals. What is the fundamental of semiconducting material? Though in our electrical material paper we have learned everything, what is semiconducting material and what is intrinsic semiconducting material type and what is extrinsic semiconducting material type, those things we have covered in briefly in our semiconducting materials when we have covered in our electrical and electronics material. Still here, as we are following or as we are going to learn briefly on solar photovoltaic cell as our solar photovoltaic system. So here we should understand the fundamentals of semiconducting material. Okay, so when I am talking about the fundamental of semiconducting material, okay, so then I can talk about this is the diagram I have shown you. So obviously when I am talking about the semiconducting material, here I can tell energy of an electron in a semiconductor must fall between two defined bands. Okay, see the diagram, you can understand. Two defined bands, energy of an electron in a semiconducting material. When I am talking about the energy content of semiconducting material, that will be fall between two defined bands, that is our conduction band and valence band. Already I have shown you, and there is a energy gap between them. Okay, so the valence band, and that is here I am talking about what, the fundamentals of semiconducting material. So when I am talking about the valence bands are energy of valence cells. Okay, see the diagram, you can understand which one is valence band and which one is conduction band. Already I have shown you in this diagram, and I am talking about the intrinsic semiconducting material here actually. Okay, so when I am talking about the valence band VV, when I am talking about the valence band VV, these are energized of valence cells which form bonds between atoms. Okay, in our valence band, okay, the energies of valence band cells are formed between the atoms. Okay, then when I am talking about the conduction band, that is CB, it is the next higher energy level or energy band which is separated from the valence band. See the diagram, you can understand. I have drawn the valence band and conduction band, and there is some gap between our valence band and conduction band. So when I am talking about the conduction band or CB, it is the next higher energy level, and this is separated from the valence band by a energy gap. I have shown you in the diagram. Okay, and this is the band gap, the band gap between the conduction band and valence band. Okay, so for that some energy is required when some electron is will try to flow. Suppose we are trying to flow some electron from the valence band to conduction. That means the energy requirement is Eg. So some energy gap is there or band gap is there. So the electron have to cover the band gap. So for that the electron should be energized accordingly. Then only if the electron can be able to energize too much by which it can cross the energy gap, then only the electron which is available in the valence band, that will be come to the conduction band after getting the amount of energy EV which is or Eg which is required, okay, to cover the band gap. Okay, so obviously here we can talk about there is an energy gap noted Eg here. Already you have shown you, I have shown you the gap that is Eg between these two bands, that is conduction band and valence band. Then the weight of the energy gap is Eg, which is defined by difference in energy of the conduction and the valence band, that is Ec minus Eb. Okay, because the energy level of conduction band is Ec and the energy level of valence band is what? Ev. So the difference between Ec and Ev is what? That is our energy gap band. The energy of band, which is energy gap. Okay, so the energy gaps, energy is what? Ec minus Ev, or that is called as Eg. So the valence band is filled with electrons, obviously. When I am talking about, because I have shown you that, see, the valence band is full. That means here in a valence band, okay, normally the electrons are in a filled band, okay, and these are with a field of electrons, and a hole is an absence of an electron. Obviously, if somewhere if what is the concept how we are getting hole and electron, that thing already you know. Okay, that means if some hole is present, that means which the electron is removed from the atom there. So for that we are getting a hole there. Okay, so a hole is an absence of an electron. Then the Cb or conduction band is empty at absolute zero. Okay, when I am talking about the conduction band, it is empty at absolute zero, but at room temperature. Why I am talking about when it is at absolute zero, the conduction band is empty? Because the electron has not too much energy which can come from valence band to conduction band at absolute zero temperature, because there is some gap between conduction band and valence band. Okay, and because of that band energy or because of that energy gap, so the electron is required some energy, that is Eg, which can, and by which it can pass over the energy gap or energy gap band, and it can be come to conduction band from valence band. So at absolute room temperature, the electron has not too much energy by which it can cross the energy gap band, and it can come to valence band to conduction band. So for that I am telling the Cb is empty at absolute zero, but at room temperature, what I am telling here, but at room temperature some valence electrons are excited, obviously, into it and free to travel because of at room temperature. That means because of the thermal effect. Okay, some electrons can be energized too much or excited too much, and it can be free to travel now. Okay, so that means electrons are now getting some energy when we are giving some thermal effect. Okay, so we are when the temperature of surface is increasing. Okay, so there are three types of semiconductors. One is intrinsic, then the next one is N-type, P-type. When I am talking about extrinsic semiconducting materials, then in that categories where the N-type and P-type semiconducting materials are coming. Okay, so come to the next figure. So here I can talk about the nature of N-type and P-type. Okay, so or we can talk about the extrinsic semiconducting materials. Okay, so see the figure. Okay, here the energy band of these semiconductors with electrons in CB in N-type. See the N-type diagram. Okay, so the energy band of this semiconductor with electrons in CB in N-type semiconductor and holes in VB or valence band in P-type semiconductor. Okay, so here I have shown what in our conduction, when I am talking about the conduction band or when I am talking about the N-type. See the diagram. When I am talking about the N-type, here, see the diagram here. So here I am talking about when it is N-type. Okay, the energy band of this semiconductor with electrons, and for that at the conduction band I have shown you electrons here. Okay, at the on the conduction band I have shown the electron in our previous diagram when it is intrinsic. Okay, when it is intrinsic. So when it is intrinsic, okay, here the conduction band is empty, and obviously there is some gap between valence band and the conduction band. But when I am talking about the N-type, okay, so this is your N-type, okay, this is your N-type semiconducting material. So here the energy band of these N-type semiconductors are with electrons. So see here on your conduction band, okay, in our conduction band electrons are present for the the charge carrier. Okay, and by the help of electron only, when I am talking about the N-type semiconducting material, by the help of electron, okay, the conduction is taking place. Okay, so, and similarly when I am coming to P-type, okay, this is your P-type, okay, semiconducting material, and when I am talking about P-type, here the energy bands are present at the holes. Okay, and these holes are present in the valence band. So here the valence band itself helps for the conduction, whereas when it is N-type, electrons are present in the conduction band, and the conduction band is helping for the conduction. Similarly, when I am talking about the P-type, so in your P-type, holes are the charge carrier, and these holes are present in the P-type or valence band. Okay, when we are talking about P-type, so holes are present in the valence band. So when I am talking about P-type, the valence band itself is helping for the conduction by the help of holes. Okay, and these are formed by doping. When I am talking about the N-type and P-type, by the help of doping or adding impurity, because when in comparison to when we have to make N-type or P-type semiconducting material, we have to add some impurities there. Then only when I am talking about intrinsic, what kind of material that is? That is a pure semiconducting material. But when I am talking about extrinsic semiconducting material, here I am adding some impurities by doping. Okay, so by doping in the semiconducting material, or by doping in the intrinsic semiconducting material with pentavalent type or trivalent type materials, then only we are getting N-type and P-type. So when we are trying to get N-type, okay, so here we are formed the N-type by doping or adding impurity in intrinsic semiconductor with pentavalent elements. Okay, for N-type I am telling you. Similarly for P-type semiconducting material, okay, we are adding trivalent elements by doping in the intrinsic semiconducting material. Okay, so prevailing charge carrier in N-type, I told you here, when I am talking about the charge carrier in N-type, so electrons are the prevailing charge carriers in N-type, and similarly when it is P-type semiconducting materials, their holes are the major charge carriers. Okay, in the p-type semiconducting material. Both n-type and p-type semiconducting materials are coming under extrinsic semiconducting material, and these extrinsic semiconducting materials are made by doping or adding impurities with the intrinsic semiconducting material. Again, I am telling you, when I am talking about n-type semiconducting material, there I am adding pentavalent elements to the semiconducting materials, okay, by the doping method. And similarly, when I am talking about p-type semiconducting material, there I am adding trivalent element, okay, with the intrinsic semiconducting material. And again, I am telling, when I am talking about n-type semiconducting material, they are the major charge carriers are electrons. And similarly, when I am talking about p-type semiconducting materials, they are the major charge carrier is what? Our holes. Holes are the major charge carriers in the p-type semiconducting material. Now coming to the generation of hole electron pairs. Okay. Now come to the generation of hole electron pair. Here, okay, I am talking about the generation of hole electron pairs. So sometimes when thermal energy is enough, because see how the hole electron pair, the generation of hole electron pair will happen. So sometimes when I am talking about the thermal energy, okay, so thermal energy is enough to cause an electron to jump from the valence band to the conduction band. Okay, that means when I am adding the temperature on the surface of the semiconducting material, okay, then it is possible that the electron can be energized too much, or some electrons can be energized too much to jump from the valence band to the conduction band and produce what? A hole electron pair or electrons also, and they fall back out of the conduction band into the valence band, coming with a hole. Okay. That means when I am talking about that, if the thermal energy is enough to cause a jump of electron from valence band to conduction band, that will produce a hole electron pair electron, which is also fall back out of the conduction band into the valence band and coming with a hole. Okay, that means when the electron leave the valence band, so that means when the electron will be energized too much due to the effect of thermal, due to the effect of temperature, due to the effect of thermal energy, then what will happen? It will leave a hole in the valence band, and then it will come to the conduction band, and in the conduction band electron will be present, and when the electron is leaving the valence band to come to the conduction band, then definitely it will be leave a hole there in the valence band. Okay. Now I want to talk about generation of electron hole pairs with light. With light, how we are getting electron hole pairs? Okay, so when the photons, okay, when the photons enters and is absorbed by the semiconductor, okay, that means when light is fall on the surface of the semiconducting material, then it will be heated. So the photon enters and is absorbed by the semiconductor, exciting electron in valence band up to conduction band. Okay, and if the electron is excited due to the photons which is absorbed by the semiconducting material, okay, then what will happen? Then the electron may come to valence band by leaving conduction band. Therefore, a hole is left behind in valence band. See the diagram, you can understand. Okay, These are holes and these are the symbol of electron. See the valence band and conduction band, you can understand. So here the electron are leaving from the valence band when we are giving or when the light is fall on the semiconducting material. As the photons are entered and absorbed by the semiconducting material and electrons are excited in valence band, what will happen? The electrons may come to the conduction band. So this is your valence band and this is your conduction band. So the electrons may leave the valence band and it can come to conduction band by overcoming the energy gap as they are too much excited. So here when the electron are leaving the valence band, what will happen? They will leave a hole. So these are the holes produced in the valence band. As the electron is leaving a hole in the valence band when it is leaving the valence band and coming to the conduction band. So electron hole pair will be exist now. Okay. In this way, electron, when the electron is leaving and when the electron is adding with the hole, or when it is leaving the hole, so by this way electron and hole pair will happen in the due to the photon of light. Okay, and extra energy then lost and turned into heat. So when the some extra energy we are getting, that extra energy is then lost and it will be turned into heat. That means in our process we are getting electricity, or we are getting a conduction path, or we are able to make a conducting medium by bringing the electron, when the electron is coming from valence band to conduction band. But when some extra energy is available, or some extra photons will be available, then that will be generated heat, because that will be loss. Okay, then come to our light absorption by a semiconductor. Okay, I want to talk about the light absorption by a semiconductor. See the diagram, you can understand here. So here I have shown the valence band. Okay, so and this one is your valence band, this one is your valence band, and this one is your conduction band. Getting? And obviously this is your energy gap which is required Eg. Okay, to overcome or to cross the gap. If the electron will try to cross the gap, then obviously it will require at least Eg if it is excited. Okay, then here I am talking about how the light absorption by a semiconducting material briefly. Okay, so here see as the light is absorbed by the semiconducting material, what is happening? Here the light is absorbed, so incident of photons I am telling you, and the last amount is what I told you. If extra energy is there, then that will generate heat. Okay, similarly at the conduction band also I have shown you. Okay, so light absorption by a semiconductor material, here I am talking about if photo energy release on light, or photo energy release on light. Light is a stream of what? Photons. We agree? Are you agree? We are agree that light is a stream of photons that carries energy depending upon the wavelength. Okay, so depends upon the wavelength, we can talk about the energy level of the photon. So when I am talking about the energy of the photon, okay, I can tell that is EPH. Okay, energy of photon, capital E, photon, or that will be what? Energy of photon will be hc by lambda, that is hb. So when I am talking about the energy of the photon, that will be equal to hc by lambda. Okay, and the hc by lambda can be equivalent to hv, as v is c by lambda. Okay, c by lambda means what? that is our velocity. Okay, c by lambda, that is our what is h? H is our Planck's constant and lambda is our wavelength. Okay, so when I am talking about or EPH or E photon is hc by lambda, that will be equivalent to hv. And here what is v? V is the frequency of the photon. Okay, v is the frequency of the photon and c is the speed of the light. Okay, or the velocity of the light is what? Or c, that will be 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second. And here our v is what? Frequency of photon. Okay, so when I am writing the energy of the photon, that is EPH, that will be hc by lambda, and c by lambda is what? That is our frequency. C by lambda is what? That is our frequency. So here I have donated for frequency of photon as v. So I can write hc by lambda is equal to hv. So E photon or energy of the photon can be written as hv. And here h is what? Planck's constant, and the value of h will be what? 6.625 into 10 to the power minus 34 joule second. Okay. So however, here I can tell photon with energy more than band gap energy can be converted into electricity by solar cell. So when I am talking about the electricity conversion, okay, here I can tell only the photons with energy more than the band gap energy, because the electron is required at least the band gap energy to overcome the band gap, and it can be, then only it can be come to conduction band by overcoming the valence band. So that means photons with at least photons are required some band gap energy, or minimum requirement of the photon are the band gap energy. Okay, so when I am talking about the electricity, so only the photons with energy more than the band energy, they can be able to convert, okay, or they can be converted into electricity by solar cell. So that means EPH or E photon will be greater or equal to Eg, and Eg is what? Our band gap energy. So when I am talking about the E photon or E photon energy, which is developing electricity in by the help of photovoltaic cells, okay, or solar cells, then obviously EPH will be greater than Eg, and which can be lead to electron hole pair generation or electricity generation in the from the photovoltaic cell. Now come to PN junction. Okay, now here I want to talk about the PN junction. Okay, so in our next our next topic is what? PN junction, and there we have to talk about also voltage current relationship for PN junction also. So before going to the voltage current relationship, first we should understand what is PN junction. Okay, first we should understand what is PN junction, or how the PN junction is made. Okay, so see the diagram here. So this is the PN junction diagram. Okay, here P doped, here P doped, and this part is N doped. Okay, and this is the space charge region. Okay, due to the when you are making PN junction. Okay, so this is the space charge region or E field. Okay, and this is the neutral region, and this is also the neutral region. Okay, and here when I am talking about the PN junction, to prevent the combination here. Okay, see the diagram. to prevent the combination, recombination. Okay, two different type of doped semiconductors are grown together here, or we have shown here. That is when I have to talk about the PN junction. Okay, two different type of doped semiconductors to make a PN junction. In semiconductors, when we are putting two dissimilar semiconductors together, then the Fermi level must stay flat. Okay, so this is the Fermi level. This is the Fermi level area. This is the Fermi level area. So when we are putting two different two dissimilar semiconductors together, then the Fermi level will be stuck, and this is what created the bending of these bands, both the conduction and valence band. Okay, and all these junctions. So the junction between P and N will be what? Contains strong electric field, that is E field. Okay, that is our E field. When two semiconductor or when two semiconductors come into contact, okay, electrons near interface from N type transfers over to P type, leaving a positively charged area. So when I am talking about the PN junction here, okay, and I am talking about the N type, okay, so in N type, electrons near interface from N type, okay, transfer over P type, leaving a positive charged area. Similarly, holes from P type, this is your P type, here holes from P type by interface transfer over to N type, leaving a negatively charged area. Okay, and because electrons and holes are swapped, as electron and holes are swapped, a middle potential barrier will be happen with no mobile charges is formed. Here, because of this mechanism, or because of this chemistry, or because of this physical property, what will happen in the middle region, a potential barrier will be formed with no mobile charges. Okay, so this potential barrier created does not let any more electron or holes flow through. Okay, that means this level will what? So this is a potential barrier now. Okay, this will not allow any hole or any electron to flow through again. Okay, so then when you are talking about the conduction, so electric field pulls electrons and hole in opposite direction only. Okay, so for that if we are trying to make conduction, then obviously we should make a external source, or we should choose external source which can help electron field pull electrons and holes in opposite direction. So there are four main types of semiconductor junctions. So here PN, PIN, Schottky barrier, heterojunction, okay, and each has a built-in potential. So now I want to talk about the voltage current relationship for PN junction. Okay. Just remember that when you are talking about the voltage current relationship, okay, when I am talking about the voltage current relationship of PN junction or PN junction or diode, so these diodes are normally devices which allow current to flow in only one direction. Okay, so when it is forward bias actually, when it is reverse bias, this will not allow the electricity to flow. Okay, but when it is forward bias, then only the PN junction or diode will allow the electricity to flow, or allow the current to flow in the diode. So diodes are one directional in nature. So forward bias in PN junction will allow a forward current. Okay, and that will be given by the following. That will be when I am talking about the room temperature, a reverse saturation current flow due to minority carrier. And I think in this lecture I don't want to talk about the VI characteristic in detail. In our next class, or in our next lecture, we have to talk about the VI characteristic of PN junction briefly. Okay, by seeing the diagram or by plotting the diagram of V and I and their characteristic. Okay, of the PN characteristic, VI characteristic of PN junction, we have to understand briefly. Okay, so I think till now we have discussed the fundamentals of photovoltaic cells, and with that we have talked about the intrinsic semiconducting material types, and also we have talked about the extrinsic semiconducting material types, and also the physical phenomenon of PN junction type semiconducting material. Okay, our aim is we are talking about, or we are trying to understand the photovoltaic cells, okay, or solar cells, because these solar cells are made of semiconducting materials. So for that we are trying to understand the nature of semiconducting material. Though in our electrical material or electrical and electronics material we have covered I think we have covered we have understood what is semiconducting material, and we have covered all the things about the fundamentals of semiconducting materials. Still, before going to understand the solar cell, again just we have tried to understand the basics of semiconducting materials once again. So in our next class, I want to talk about the voltage current relationship for PN junction, and after that we have to talk about the basic principles of the solar cell. Okay, so I think today we should stop our class. Thank you very much.